Port County government. If this is an emergency, please hang up and dial 911. This call may be recorded. If you know your party's extension, please enter it now. For public health, press 1. For public safety, including the sheriff's office, press 3. For county clerks, press 1. For courts, press 2. Probation. For circuit court, press 1. For the self-help center, press 2. For Michiana Adult Advocacy, press 3. For Veterans Court, press 4. For problems...
Yes, my name is Chris. I was calling. I'm trying to. I had spoke with somebody from this office before. I was trying to find out what the process is for a complaint or investigatory process against the clerk, and I was told to, give you guys some time to look into it and get back to you.
Let me transfer to Bobby then.
I'm sorry, who? No, I don't need to speak to Miss Hartz. I need to speak with somebody from the circuit court, not the clerk's office.
You want the circuit court?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Let me transfer you upstairs then.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Sky. This is Chris Throgmorton, and I have a question for you this afternoon.
Hey?
I'm wondering if someone for circuit court could answer me in... I'm sort of trying to find out what the process is to initiate a disciplinary or investigatory process against the clerk of court.
Okay, let me transfer you into Jason. Just a moment.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. The Fourth Circuit Court.
Good afternoon, Jason. This is Chris Throgmorton. I am still on my quest to figure out what is the procedure for initiating a complaint or disciplinary process against the clerk of court.
Okay, let's see here. Did you get my message the other day?
Maybe? I don't know. My phone's been acting up a lot lately.
Okay. I don't know that there is any specific, disciplinary body, like there is the Judicial Commission and, the Bar Association, how they have their disciplinary commission for attorneys.
Right. But go ahead.
The best I see is there is, and I had it pulled up together when it called, just so I can tell you exactly what it's called.
The Association of Clerks of Courts of Indiana or something of that nature?
No, I wasn't sure exactly what the issue was as far as what you were trying to report. I didn't know if it was something as far as getting access to things. Or...
I have had nothing but problems with Miss Kroback's office. And a lot of it is, it seems to be things that are within her control. I have 7 open cause numbers right now. There's a lot of rules to court records and stuff and access to them. I literally experience minimal to zero problems through the circuit court personnel's actions. You know what I mean? You guys do a fantastic job. I am a harsh critic. I think very highly of your staff. Because you guys do a lot of the stuff that's supposed to be done, and I don't have to call and ask you to. However, in some of the other courts where some of my other cause numbers lie, it's hit or miss whether or not I can publicly access or remotely access some of these documents through my case, such as right now I have 3 criminal cases with court orders from Judge Toady in Porter Superior Court 6. They're not available on my case. You know what I mean? And it's just, it basically, I have to call and sit on the phone with them for like 45 minutes to get them emailed to me. Naturally, IT has to be involved because their email doesn't work when they're trying to email them to me. I'm left to sort of come there physically. And to be perfectly honest, I don't feel safe in the building. And there's a policy that I cannot record my interactions, which is my only way to sort of, ensure or protect myself in that interaction as far as, I can get quite vocal and then it's my word against somebody else's. I'd rather have the entire thing just recorded, but I'm not allowed to do that, so I prefer to be able to remotely access these on my case. They will argue till they're blue in the face that this is not mandated per a court order dated August 1st, 2018. I know it is. That's why your office does it, because you're supposed to. But
yeah, we do. Yeah, we know we're supposed to. So
right.
Yeah,
and I mean
transparency is usually best.
You guys are the bar around here, just so you know. You guys do a fantastic job. Like I said, I'm a very harsh critic, and I think very highly of your staff in that office, because you guys do things correctly, the way that you're supposed to. But incidentally, you do provide a shining example to compare the more lackadaisical approaches to. So
I'm wondering, and this is what I was going to suggest. I did get the website pulled up. The only thing, because it has to do with access to your documents, to the records, which
that's just one of the issues. Like I had a court order set on Kathy's desk for about 2 months before it ever hit the docket as well.
Okay.
And this was in regards
I'm not sure
to.
about that. I mean, it is the circuit court clerk, but they are an elected official. I don't know of any governing body as far as discipline. Now, as far as you getting access to your records and public records, as far as that, there is the Indiana Public Access Counselor.
Right.
Now, they've investigated stuff in this court and other courts and stuff like that. I don't know if they would have any information as far as where to go for your other issues, but I know as far as the access part, that would be your go-to.
All right. Now, it's not just that. It's also like I don't receive these. It'll say that I've been noticed. I don't get the notice usually like this. I had to literally call them and have me email on just this one court order. That's just one of the things. But it's like I said, I've probably got at least a dozen instances that I could type out. But okay, so in my research, I spoke to the governor's office today, the attorney general's office, the Indiana Office of Judicial Administration, the Indiana Office of Judicial Qualification. I've talked to the Supreme Court Clerk's office, the Association for the Circuit Court Clerks of Indiana, which seems to be their union. I've talked to plenty of people in Ms. Krobach's office, but from what I can find in my research, Indiana Code 5-8-1-35, I believe, maybe 38, basically states that any officer under the jurisdiction of the judge. It says any person can petition when any officer under the jurisdiction. That's all I really want to know is because the courts and the judges are all Article 7 of the Constitution, judicially elected officers. You know what I mean? The judge is a judicial officer. He's an elected judicial officer. Whereas Ms. Krobach is covered under Article 6, Section 2, which is an administrative position. Is she an officer of the court? Because everything I can find, there's, everybody I've talked to thinks that, I talked to the Attorney General today, and he thinks that the word judicial is synonymous with the clerk of courts. To be perfectly honest, Jason, it's absolutely astounding how many state-level employees don't understand the differentiation between these two positions. But Ms. Krobach certainly thinks that she works for the courts, and she does not. She's an independent.
No, she does not.
She is essentially When you see on a business card an attorney has those scales of justice, she's literally supposed to be the scales. Um, she's like the checks and balances. She's the record maintainer. It's like when you see somebody gambling on the street and there's one guy holding the money that's not actually involved in the game. He's the clerk of courts, essentially.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's it. I understand that this attorney, I mean, if I wanted to file a complaint against an attorney, there's a downloadable self-help form. I just copy and paste. Same with a judge. I mean, there's commissions and qualifications and etc. But none of these actually mention the clerk. Even the stuff they've referenced me to does not use the word clerk. It all uses judge, judicial, references solely a judge. But the code that I found says that, if she were an officer of the court, I could petition the court. But it doesn't seem to me that she is. It would seem to me that when I was talking to the governor's office this morning, I was actually talking to the right people.
That could be. I'm really not sure. Like I said, in my bit of research as far as governing bodies over the clerk, I didn't find anything. So you probably sounds like you got farther with them now.
I had to go to the 1800s, just so we're clear. Everything I've
sure.
found that references complaints against the clerk, in the same paragraph, it'll use the word like chancery, and I had to go pretty far back to find anything at all, and even then, it's reference. I'm not trying to get too technical here with you because complications, but the only thing I can really find even then is referencing to going against the public official's bond. And then there's like stuff where I could, I've seen where there's liability exemptions. I could sue her personally, but that's not really what I'm trying to do. That doesn't address my issue at all. And then impeachment, but I haven't found anything that's like, a step, like I'm not really trying to like impeach her. I don't think that's even probable. I would imagine that whatever I'm trying to do, it would take a string of like a dozen of those to get someone impeached. And it just seems like there would be a lesser process than impeachment. But I mean, I'm sort of giving you guys the reins at this point. Yeah. Sorry, what was that?
Yeah, I said unfortunately as an elected official, she's kind of her own autonomous entity. So, it sounds like you got some good information from you said the governor's office and the AG's office once they understood what you were talking about.
Yeah, I mean, they still were trying to reference, like, the Judicial Qualifications Commission told me that would be handled on a county level. You know what I mean? And I was basically trying to explain, like, well, it's the state constitution. She's elected under, who would the county officials be? You know what I mean? Who would, the county is kind of vague. There's like the county council, the county commission, county judges, county auditor, the sheriff, coroner. You know what I mean? I know things get hairy when county people investigate other county people. Like something about the coroner is like the only person that can arrest the sheriff. So, but they, that's about all they told me was to somebody in the county has jurisdiction, but they couldn't tell me who.
Some options.
Yeah, but it's.
They might have given you some options through the courts, but.
And that's what I'm trying to figure out is where rules of procedure for something like this would be. Like, I don't really need legal advice. Like, if I was trying to file a complaint against the judge and you reference me to the code of conduct and the disciplinary commission on that, I could pretty much figure it out from there. Same with an attorney, but like I said, there's not really a starting point as far as public information goes with any sort of process that may or may not exist to
I don't believe there is one.
Well, I guess that's my next step, man. Is I'm gonna go with some deductive reasoning, and I guess I gotta contact Eric Holcomb, which is
I'm kind of at a loss because I honestly was curious once you called, and I don't see anything.
I will let you know what I find out. It's yeah, it's getting to be pretty interesting, man. To be honest, like
Yeah.
like now I'm sort of just kind of like I have to even if there's not a valid complaint or my issues resolved, I'd still be curious as to how this plays out because it's definitely the needle in the haystack as far as everything I've researched so far.
Yeah. I definitely don't have all the time in the world to devote to it, but yeah, I've come up with nothing, which isn't normal. Normally, I find something.
No, normally when
something.
I mean, you know, I hand you guys the reins because I trust your expertise here and there. You know what I mean? So normally when I call you with a question, you have some sort of answer or something I can work with to try to find the next step. But yeah, if you don't know, and man, the clerk's office is, I don't know if they know or not. They're not exactly excited about helping me figure this out, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure about them, but like I said, I mean, if you want to check out this, as far as the public access goes, is getting access to your documents, because that's one thing I can tell you about is that that's simply just at the in.gov /PAC.
Oh, Mr. Brett? Yeah, I'm kind of well acquainted with him at this point.
Oh, okay.
His office is pretty good too. For governmental offices, I will give him that. He's got a pretty good personnel as well. They're pretty helpful.
Yeah, I've never had an issue with him. The few dealings we've had, it's always been very informative, and he's been very professional. So that's always nice. But yeah, I would start there, and if you find anything out, let me know.
Yeah, I'll let you know.
Honestly, sincerely.
It's
yeah, I would be
like I said,
knowing.
I had to go all the way back to like the 1800s to find even a mention of the notion of filing something against the clerk. So yeah, I'll let you know. It's getting pretty interesting. And I mean,
okay.
I got transferred to the governor's office today, and I was like, holy shit, this is getting serious. But yeah, I gotta get off and start getting things ready for a kid getting out of school and whatnot. So thank you for your time. Like
Not a problem. Anytime, Chris. Just let me know, and if you need anything further, just give me a ring.
Yep. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thanks.
Bye.
You too.